as stocking petroleum products intensifies amid scarcity and rising fuel prices in Cameroon, environmentalists warn that the practice can cost human lives. Meantime, Cameroon has just 45 days to settle former Indomitable Lions head coach. A communique from the World Football Governing Body FIFA has given Cameroon just 44 days to pay over 1 billion francs CFA to Antonio Conceição. Many say Tony Conceição has harvested big from Cameroon because of the abusive termination of a contract with the head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Details on these stories and more, ladies and gentlemen, will be yours in the course of your favorite newscast. Remember, it's only on Equinoxe that you can get investigated information, a complete dose of what is making news in and out of Cameroon. Thanks for making the right choice. It is a major news event in Cameroon, and we're starting with fuel scarcity that is rocking Cameroon from the heart of the nation, Cameroon's political capital city, Yaoundé, where the impact is felt hardest according to observers. And as stocking petroleum products by individuals intensifies amid scarcity and rising fuel prices in Cameroon, environmentalists on their part are warning that the practice might cost human lives. We went finding out from how dangerous the activity of stocking petroleum products with fears of rising and worsening fuel prices by Cameroonians in the city of Douala. Annabella spoke to an environmentalist who explains that their practice should be avoided by all means. We have details in her report.
Fuel has been a very scarce commodity in Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé. For some days now, Yaoundé city dwellers have been braving odds to get some quantity of what is now termed a precious liquid. Bike riders and other car users have resorted to buying in large quantities and stocking in case the scarcity intensifies, an act which experts say is very dangerous to environment and also to human beings.
We know that plastic containers, by their characteristics, by their features, can take fire by yourself at certain temperatures. Putting fuel that is supposed to take fire, it can be very dangerous for people using it. Knowing that fuels are products that are not like flammable products, manipulating them at home without being trained about the way of doing it can lead maybe to the fire. In Ghana, many years ago, people were at the petrol station like that, and things caught fire there, and they had more than 100 people who died.
Besides causing loss of human lives, health and safety experts Dr. Muele Ngalagu Pierre adds that the rampant manipulation of petroleum products can be hazardous to health.
It can lead to the irritations of the skin, diseases that can come from the fact that somebody is inhaling the fuels at home. Problems at the level of their lungs, the blood pressure that can be high, and when our blood is attacked, it can lead to many problems like cardiovascular diseases.
Fuel or kerosene has very nocive odor and must be kept only in filling stations, petroleum depots and engine reservoir.
Avoid having people at the petrol stations with such containers. And when people are also coming there with a situation that we know now, the fact that there is a lack of fuel that people are struggling to have their own and go and keep at home, they should avoid them to be in the queue. Find out if there is a possibility to put them aside and then take them one by one.
Transporting fuel in plastic containers from gas stations to homes or any other place should be discouraged and strictly prohibited by government. The only solution aside sensitization is to ensure petroleum products, especially fuel, are available to local consumers.
You probably didn't know that stocking petroleum products was that dangerous, right? The expert in safety and health situations say it is, and Cameroonians have been called to desist from the activity even within the challenging context of scarcity. You know, amid the scarcity, trade unionists have added their voices to the suffering car owners and commercial motorbike riders taxi drivers of the nation's political capital city, Yaoundé. They have petitioned Cameroon through the Ministry of Water and Energy. Malak Glory in the following report tells us that the situation is leaving no other person untouched in the city of Yaoundé.
Transporters syndicates have decided to join their voice to that of their colleagues and car owners to decry the continuous scarcity of fuel and other petroleum products. Though the government authorities had assured the people everything was under control. In a meeting with the Minister of Transport on the 23rd of March 2022, he told us we don't need to worry, but it's surprising that for 2 weeks now, we still experience fuel shortage and other products, whereas the Minister of Transport published a release assuring the population that there is a stock of fuel in petroleum companies in Cameroon. So for the moment, we know there is enough fuel in Cameroon for us to be served. We have a government who is not ready to listen or ameliorate the living condition of the people. For at least 2 weeks, vehicle owners continue to face the scarcity of fuel. For this reason, the Transporters Syndicate addressed the Minister of Commerce demanding the immediate supply of fuel to filling stations. According to them, the situation is coming to add to other troubles faced by these car owners. Adding to the bad roads in most neighborhoods, here comes the issue of fuel scarcity, and transporters must fight for themselves. Like they say, a hungry man is an angry person. The letter addressed to the Minister of Commerce has been signed by at least 10 members of Transporters Syndicate, wherein they express the pain of all car owners.
Malak Glory reporting fair. It should be recalled that as you got in that report, the Transporters Syndicate and trade unionists have added their voices petitioning the Minister of Trade in Cameroon. And we take on this communique from the Ministry of Water and Energy, which says that there is availability of stock. The Ministry of Water and Energy is informing the public and consumers of the replenishment of stock in the major cities of Cameroon. The Ministry of Water and Energy has informed the public and consumers that stocks have been replenished in the major cities of Cameroon. The shortage is over in full. The communique of the ministry reads as follows: following the disruption and observed for several days in the supply of petroleum products, specific measures have been taken to resolve the situation. In this sense, a ship uploaded some 13 million liters of super last Monday. On Wednesday morning, another ship was uploaded of some 8 million liters, that is 8,500,000 liters of diesel and some 2,500,000 liters of petrol. It is important to note that some 1,458,000 liters of fuel were transferred on Tuesday, the 19th of July, to the city of Yaoundé, which already had an initial stock of some 250,000 liters. So on Tuesday, the Yaoundé depot received about some 1,600,000 liters and some 1,200,000 liters of the stock. That's according to a communique released by Cameroon's Minister of Water and Energy. It should be recalled that the Yaoundé's daily requirement is as of 1 million liters of fuel. We shall be exploiting the release from the communications unit of the Minister of Water and Energy subsequently, ladies and gentlemen. But it should be recalled that it is coming as that is within the hues of the scarcity that has been observed in most parts of Cameroon, notably the city of Yaoundé. It's time for us to talk something else. The road accident on the Douala-Yaoundé highway, the road accident that left a priest of the Buya diocese killed. Do something before we get to that road accident. We take you to Equinoxe television, which made a return to the scene of the accident at Likumba Hill in Chico subdivision to know exactly exactly what happened from those who lived the situation. Derek Jato, our correspondent from the Southwest Regional Chief Town, is the man on that follow-up report.
This is a part of a whole truck that was dismembered. It is now buried some 50 meters away into the bush. Here, along the major highway at Likumba in Tiko subdivision, 4 people died because of the incident. And this other truck to my left is blamed to have caused the incident. We have been told this truck here suffered brakes failure and caused the accident.
After emptying its content and crushed this car, taking the lives of all the 3 persons that were on board, this truck with chassis number 546942 finally stopped on this taxi facing the opposite direction, which was also ascending behind the crushed car. The occupants of the said taxi were fortunate to see the danger approaching and fled their car before the truck could reach them. The driver too of this taxi miraculously escaped with minor injuries. Luis, who was in the ascending truck, took me round to show me what happened. He was sitting beside his driver and noticed that the descending truck is suffering from brakes failure as the truck left its own lane of the road and came head-on. Luis' driver was swift enough, wheeled the steering, and their truck was hit from the side. Because of the friction, Luis hit the windscreen and came out of the truck from here. He will later help his driver to open this door. The driver of this truck was not lucky. Reports say he died on this steering, and the boy with him sustained fracture in the leg. Luis is feeling some pains, but had not gone to the hospital, he told me. And at press time, the wreckage were still abandoned at the scene of the accident.
Derek Jato, the faulty state of this truck has been blamed by locals, but an investigation reportedly has been launched to be able to identify the clear circumstances that led to the unfortunate road accident in Likumba in Tiku subdivision of the Fako, that is in the southwest region of Cameroon. 4 persons died and several others got severely wounded, and some sustained injuries and are now hospitalized. It's time for us to move from the southwest region back to the littoral region to say that natives of Ndo, a locality in the Mungo division of the littoral region, have complained of lack of basic amenities faced by the coming of a university in the area. They seem to have seen no changes with regards to the basic needs, even with the presence of the institution. Their worries were captured by Lucy Liongo Esier in the following report.
Though a locality in the Mongo division of the littoral region, the inhabitants have been complaining of lack of infrastructures and the absence of an educational system, which has greatly affected their daily lives.
May there be roads.
Our roads are not in a good state. They should help us fix it. We also need light and water in our community.
We need light.
In order to develop the area, a delegation from the University of Douala visited and announced the construction of a university. The people of Ndo happily welcomed the delegation with a lot of joy, while they still wish for the government to see into their plight of not just constructing the university, but also seeing into their problems. The population equally calls on their brothers and sisters who had left to return as they envisage development.
Development, in collaboration with municipal officials of the littoral region, has been strategizing to see that heaps of waste and dirt abandoned in several parts of the towns and cities of the littoral region becomes a thing of the past. They have consequently launched a cleanup campaign, a campaign that is aimed at motivating clean up neighborhoods, or rather clean neighborhoods and subdivisions of the littoral region. The campaign culminated in a ceremony organized at the Littoral Regional Governor's Office, during which Nkonsamba 1 in the Mungo Division and Douala 2 in the Vuri Division, as well as Puma in the Sanaga Maritime Division and some localities in the Kam Division, were awarded medals as the cleanest subdivisions. We have details with Lucy Liengo in the following report.
Piles of dirt around the neighborhoods of the city of Douala and towns within the littoral region has been a major problem, a situation which in most cases has hindered the circulation and has posed as a health hazard to the local population. A way to ameliorate this, there has been the sanitation competition launched in the 4 divisions of the littoral region, that is the Kam, Wuri, Sanaga Maritime and the Mongo Division. The objective is to bring the awareness of the population to their contribution to cleaning the environment and equally the urban community. Konjok in the Kam Division, Kongsamba 1 in the Mongo Division, Puma in the Sanaga Maritime Division, and Douala 2 in the Wuri Division were selected as the winners of the first phase in the different divisions.
I just want to congratulate the municipalities who has been elected in this project, and hope that maybe after the national competition, the municipalities of Littoral region will be the one who has to win the cup of this competition.
Anticipating for the second phase, all the 4 divisions promise to do their best to maintain cleanliness in their towns.
Described by many as a symbol of peace and unity, Egusi pudding has been described also as one of the most favorite traditional meals in Cameroon. Immaculate Fogwe, a news lady, took interest in just how it is done in most parts of the city of Douala. You will love the report at the end of the day, probably asking your family members to go for Egusi pudding when next it is important for the family to decide the dish for the day. Her report.
Melon seeds, locally called in Cameroon as egusi, is mostly eaten by persons from the west, northwest, littoral, and center regions. Egusi pudding is a valued traditional dish which could be spotted in traditional weddings, fundraisings, and special parties. To make egusi pudding, you need the following ingredients: ground egusi, smoked meat, stockfish which is optional, smoked fish, groundnut oil, an egg, seasoning cubes, onion, dried pepper, crayfish, black pepper, bongolo and African spice, and warmed plantain leaves. Let's go to the kitchen for a step-by-step preparation. Firstly, she beheads the moru fish, extracts the bones and later keeps it aside. Another fish used in the process is stockfish.
The stockfish is a little bit strong, so I'm going to start by boiling my stock for about 6 to 7 minutes with just a pinch of salt. I won't put Maggi, and so many people will be asking. I do everything through. I avoid cooking a lot of Maggi. I'm about to add my meat to get a real flavor, the stock. I'll let it to cook again for another 5 minutes, and then I'll add the last, the moruk. 10 minutes now, and we're about to add our moruk. I'm going to add the onions to get a real flavor. No, onions is as sweet as Maggi, so the more onions you add, the more sweetness you get. Separate the meat from the stock.
The stock from the meat and fish is later kept in a bowl for a melding point.
So I added onions to get the sweetness of the juice, and I used the juice in mixing the egusi pudding. Later I had to add the meat, the stockfish, and the smoked fish. We added egg to bind it, and we added oil to make it easy to come out from the leaf.
The steaming method of cooking is what is being used. After the desired texture is gotten, she goes ahead with wrapping the pudding. in the warm plantain leaves. The leaves are well tucked so it does not open while cooking. After lasting for an hour on fire, the egusi pudding is ready. To accompany the egusi, sweet yams, miyanda, and bobolo. The mouth-watering delicacy is set and everyone is happy eating the meal. Speaking to some of the consumers, they say the meal is peculiar for the following reasons.
The peculiarity of egusi pudding is that it's protein, and protein is good for the health. So I love it.
We equally sought to know from an elderly woman the significance of egusi pudding during traditional weddings in the Sawa culture. In the Sawa culture, when a man wants to get married, he comes with a dowry alongside many other items demanded by the bride's family. Meanwhile, the bride's family has to prepare egusi pudding to receive her in-laws. This type of pudding is called gonda diba. The pudding is not prepared like others. This is because the size is different. We tie it very big, and while it is on fire, no one is allowed to go closer apart from the person cooking. Due to its large size, it can spend a day on fire. During the traditional wedding, a member from the bride's family and that from the groom's family hold the same knife and cut it while preparing it. You need to be careful because if it stays for long on fire, the color would turn to red, and that is not a good sign. Egusi pudding is a symbol of unity between both families.
Et quand on fait ça, les gens ne passent pas autour de là où on fait ça. On fait écraser les pistaches.
The significance of egusi pudding varies amongst cultures. Apart from being a symbol of peace and unity amongst families, egusi pudding is also believed to have medicinal values which can support a healthy prostate.
Oh my God, I took you eating in the course of a newscast. This is interesting. Let's continue. We're going to be going for international news. And what do we have here? Equinoxe, who says this spokesperson for the United Nations Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, that is the MINUSMA, has been expelled by Malian military officials for making careless statements against Malian authorities with regards to the 49 Ivorian soldiers arrested in Mali. That was on July the 10th, 2022. Meantime, in the neighboring Federal Republic of Nigeria, the All Progressive Congress Party, that is the ruling APC, has presented its vice presidential candidate months after it presented its flag bearer. It should be recalled that it presented its flag bearer, who is Bola Tinubu. We have details of our international news roundup with Equinoxe.
These military authorities have dismissed Olivier Sargado, the spokesperson for the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission, MINUSMA, on Wednesday. The UN representative has been given 72 hours to leave Mali. In a statement, the Malian official cited tendentious and unacceptable post he made on Twitter regarding the case of the 49 Ivorian soldiers arrested in Mali on Sunday, July 10. The Foreign Ministry condemns Sargado for declaring without any proof that the Malian authorities had been previously informed of the 49 soldiers' arrival. 2 aircraft carrying the Ivorian contingent landed in Bamako's airport. According to a statement from the Ivory Coast government issued on July 12, the soldiers operate under an agreement signed in July 2019 between Ivory Coast and the United Nations, and in accordance with a security and logistical support contract signed with the Société Sahel Aviation Service, SARS. The Malian government considers them mercenaries with weapons of war. In Nigeria, the All Progressives Congress Party on Wednesday unveiled its vice presidential candidate a month after naming Bola Tinubu its flag bearer in the 2023 presidential race. Kashim Shettima, former Borno State Governor, will be Tinubu's running mate as the APC looks to keep power after the expiry of President Muhammadu Buhari's mandate. Shettima, during his unveiling ceremony, said there is need to lay to rest issues of religion and ethnicity. He does not intend to be vice president to represent members of the Islamic people because the Sultan of Sokoto is capable of doing that. Both Tinubu and Shettima are Muslims. Political parties in Nigeria are known to often consider religious and regional sensitivities when competing for national elections.
Senators, remember that Bola Tinubu, who is of the ruling All Progressives Congress Party in Nigeria, will be facing Atiku Abubakar, a veteran opposition party leader in Nigeria, but also Peter Obi. Remember that the coming of Peter Obi has changed campaigns as far as the all general elections next year is concerned in the neighboring Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Peter Obi syndrome that has left no Nigerian indifferent with regards to the political affairs in Nigeria. And of course, this note, before we go on to sport, in the course of this newscast, it is confirmed the visit of French President Emmanuel Macron to Cameroon. A note signed by Samuel Vondo-Ayolo, who is Director of Cabinet, Director of Civil Cabinet at the Presidency of the Republic of Cameroon, reads that on the invitation of His Excellency President Paul Biya, French President Emmanuel Macron will be on an official visit to Cameroon beginning the 25th of July to the 27th of July 2022. With sport, ladies and gentlemen, we told you in our headlines that former Indomitable Lions coach Antonio Conceição is to harvest big from Cameroon. The country Cameroon and the Confederation of, that is the Cameroon Football Federation of FECAFOOT, has been given 45 days to settle the debt they owe the former Indomitable Lions coach, trainer Antonio Conceição. A media release signed by the World Football Governing Body FIFA has asked Cameroon to pay the sum of 1,551,886 million francs CFA for the abusive termination of the contract of the former head coach of the men's national team of Cameroon. We have details with sportsman Smart Jikan Gabriel.
Antonio Conceição da Silva Oliveira is the latest to force Cameroon to cough out a huge amount of money at a time when things are difficult for a normal Cameroonian. The former coach of the Indomitable Lions won a case filed against the Cameroon Football Federation for the abusive termination of his contract, an act which didn't come as a surprise for a sports analyst.
What is clear is that I'm not surprised by the sanction, because inside any contract in which you have two parties, you have clause of the termination of that contract. So if you don't respect the conditions of termination of a contract, you know that you have sanctions, and the person who is abusively removes of the chair of trainer can go at jurisdictions and say that they have as terminated abusively by FECAFOOT.
For Charles Monge Munyeme, the Cameroon Football Federation is falling in the same trap every day of paying monies because the lawyers in the football house have failed to do their work before and after the termination of a contract for a hired coach.
We have a lot of jurists in this country, in federation, in the Ministry of Sport, and everywhere in Cameroon you have jurists. You can't tell me that they don't know how to terminate a contract. You can't tell me that they don't know how to prevent such an event if a trainer is not capable to respect the clause of contract. How can we terminate it without problems? The situation becomes repetitive. Is that perhaps they have again, by doing that, a profit by doing that.
According to the media release signed by FIFA, Cameroon has 45 days to react to this sanction, but again could also appeal the case at the Court of Arbitration for Sports.
I understood that they gave 45 days to Cameroon. That the delay of paying, and if we don't pay, the sanction is not only on money. They can remove us from World Cup. So what we have to do now, if we don't agree the FIFA's decision, we can go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, or we pay.
Antonio Conceição da Silva Oliveira is expected to be paid by the Cameroon Football Federation the sum of 1,051,896,000 francs CFA for the abusive termination of his contract. It is not the first time, as other former coaches of Cameroon have also benefited from abusive termination of their contracts. Hugo Bruce received 114,204,162 francs CFA, while Clarence Seedorf got 205,400,000 francs CFA because their contracts were terminated abusively by the head of the Football Federation in Cameroon.
My God, shocked, right? Many have been asking what it shall profit Cameroon to sack Antonio Conceição and lose 1,051,896,000 francs CFA. It is not the first example. You got details with sportsman Simanji Kanga. We're going to stay in sport, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the CAF Award tonight in the northern African country of Morocco. It's going to be in Rabat, the capital of Morocco, and CAF will tonight in Rabat be awarding the best actors in football within the African continent. Remember that the award will be the first after 2 years breakdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. One of the nominees of the CAF Award is Shud Ajara Njoya, a formidable player with the national female squad in Cameroon. Who is Shud Ajara Njoya is the question to be answered by Simanji Gabriel in the following report.
Jara Shud Njoya, aged 29, started her football career with Frank Rolicek of Douala, where she didn't have a chance to play any competitive game. From Douala, she had stints at FC Energy, Vorennes, WFC Roshinyaka, Western New York Flash, Sound Vals, Valeranga, IL Sandviken, Atletico Madrid, and now at Internazionale of Milan in Italy. Her top moment was at Valeranga, where she played 40 games and scored 20 goals. At the level of the national football team, Ajara Shud Njoya started playing with the women's national team since 2012. She has participated at the FIFA Women's World Cup twice in 2015 and 2019 and took part at the 2012 Summer Olympic Games. In 2019, Ajara Shud Njoya was nominated for the FIFA Puskas Award for her goal against New Zealand at the FIFA Women's World Cup. Ajara Shud Njoya has played 63 matches, scoring 15 goals. She finished as top scorer with 20 goals at Valeranga in 2020 when Valeranga was crowned champions of Norway. And while at Roshinyaka, her club was runners-up in 2012 and 2013 football season. At Atletico Madrid in Spain, Ajara Shud Njoya won the Spanish Super Cup in 2012, and on 2 occasions, 2014 and 2016, she was runner-up at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations.
Good luck to Cameroonian-born Shud Ajara Njoya, the beautiful and formidable striker of the female national squad. Meantime, in the male category, it's not going to be a Cameroonian affair. Many know that it's going to be a Mo Salah and a Sadio Mane affair, but the information gotten before the start of this newscast says that the Egyptian Mohamed Salah has indicated that he's not going to be present in Rabat, Morocco, and many are concluding that it's a way of saying that it's going to be a Sadio Mane affair as far as the best female player on the African continent is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not disclosing anything. We're going to be having details after the event in Morocco. That said, I'm done with the news tonight. Thank you for your very keen attention. Still interesting programs on Equinoxe. You'll be having Equinoxe Soir from Yaoundé. The news in the French language comes at 8 p.m. from Yaoundé. I'll be back here tomorrow, Friday at 6 p.m. for the full newscast in English, God willing.